Every one of the people in this audience should do a sales job mandatory for 2 years. आप अगर entrepreneurs का pattern करोगे ना, match करोगे तो आपको pattern दिखेगा that it is a straight line of nervousness.
Guys, thank you so much. I don't want to waste any more time. For people who were here yesterday, I already spoke about Altuni. It's our alternative digital university that we've launched, and we hope that you and all of those who are going to watch this make great use of that platform. We have people from the industry who help you get insights into industry, help you learn skills which actually can be applied at the job, and you can be employable. Our vision is to make India more employable, and we truly believe that India is going to be the skills capital of the world. Our first guest for today is an MBA. I'm sure that maybe he wants to shed that tag now after all these years spending time in the startup world, but he is an MBA. So Arpit is an NIT graduate, then he went to SGSOM, IIT Bombay, and then he had a bunch of startups. I think he also worked at a few places, but I think amongst the most marquee things on his CV is obviously that he is the director at Bloom Ventures, amongst the most celebrated early stage funds in India. What I find fascinating is that he started off doing that at a time when ये सब चीजें इतनी mainstream नहीं थी India में, and which is why now looking back, I think we can learn a lot from his journey, and maybe there is something today in 2022 that is happening which maybe you can bet on, and maybe you can see yourself doing something like him 7-8 years from now. So without any further ado, can I invite Arpit on stage, please? A big thank you to Arpit. So Arpit, tell us about your early life.
That's very important. That's very important. I was about to say that the resume does not really cover most people's life history. So it is important to, given that you guys are interested in career, I'm now 38 years old, but what I did back when I was 10 years old probably is very relevant, because if you see, life is like a continuum. So I was born and raised in a small town called Agra, not far from here. All 17 years of schooling was in Agra. One of the better students in my class. Worked really hard for engineering entrance, and made it to NIT Trichy. I also had a choice of going into an IIT at a different branch, but I chose not to and entered NIT Trichy.
So how hard was that to reject an IIT and go to NIT?
If you ask me today, I would always prefer an institute over a branch. But back then, it was very clear to me that my choice of branch is very important as compared to institute. I have no regrets of going to NIT Trichy because of what I did there, what I ended up, all the value that I derived from that institute and alumni. But if you were to make a choice standing today looking forward, an institute is always better than, in my opinion, unless there is a particular branch in a particular course that really attracts you and you have read so much about it. For example, chemical engineering in some colleges are very, very good, and therefore you pick that. So you're very clear what exactly you're going to do, and therefore you pick that. All of these are my opinions. I'll stop saying that. So you please take a pinch of salt. One very important thing that I found in my life is that if you see the pattern across all the 38 years of my life, you will see that I have not shied away from doing things that really called me. So when I graduated and I landed in Bangalore, some people just told me that there's something called as bar camp. This is April 2006. Just something called bar camp. And I had no idea what bar camp is. And I showed up there, right? And that changed my life. Like today, in 1 year later, we started Head Start together. Today, Head Start is 15 years old. All the origins of Head Start was from bar camp.
So what happens in a bar camp?
So Barcamp is like an unconference. It's a group meetup of people. You basically get a few people together, spend a day, and there is no agenda. Everyone in a Barcamp is like a participant. Aptly named unconference.
And if it's bar camp, is there alcohol in it or?
May have alcohol. Mine did not have. So the point I'm making is, I showed up at places which had no apparent benefit. See, in campus also, money is rarely a benefit where people are expecting, but there is some reputation benefit, there is some network benefit, there is some reputation, there is some, PORs in the resume kind of benefit that people are deriving from anything, anytime, all the way. Which means you will only follow things which are tried and tested, and you will never follow things which are yet to happen. You will obviously spend some time on things which are likely to give you a particular benefit, which is visible. You wouldn't do things which are not visible to you, at least apparently at that point of time. So there is always a risk of failure. And thankfully, I was okay with it.
Where did you work after NIT? What were you exactly doing? And then how did you come to the MBA decision? I want to take CAT and do MBA.
Very good question. So when I entered NIT Trichy, I knew that I was going to do a postgraduate because engineering is what I love to do. I still love technology like a lot, right? And I'm engaged with engineers every day, and I love thinking of myself as an engineer even today. I thought I will do an MBA, and I was preparing. Back then there were word lists. Barron's had a book which had 50 word lists, for those of you who are old enough to remember. And I had done half of the word list. I still remember some of those words. Then around the time, there was a AIMCAT. Time AIMCAT?
Yeah, time
and those are of course offline days and stuff, right? So AIMCAT, and I had, with no preparation, I appeared for an AIMCAT, free CAT exam, who cares? All of them, about 100 people in campus that gave that CAT. And I had the highest percentile. This seemed like I have a career choice which I was not considering. And that pivoted really. And then of course Pragyan happened, and I thought I was good at managing people, and with people I like doing that. But my job that I had got from campus was in a company called ETM Systems. It is a company based in Bangalore, not very large. It wasn't very large back then also, but has chugged along. It was a very deep tech oriented company into embedded systems. And we were doing very, very hardcore stuff on, I was an electronics engineer, by the way. So embedded systems, and we were trying to do video codecs on Texas Instruments chip boards and so on. The reason why I wanted to do an MBA was because about a year into the job, I really figured out myself that I don't like going deep into this stuff. I like it on the surface level. I like it, okay, fine. I know this happens. I know click here, this code goes there, run, starts doing that, it gets the output. Okay, fine. But I don't like the nuances of it, or probably it was just too unbearable. Or maybe it was not enough motivation. Whatever the reason was that I wanted to do an MBA really desperately. Didn't care about getting into IIM, definitely got into SGM Song and did that. So that happened, which is why MBA. And MBA also, because of this background of startups and Head Start and Barcamp, I wanted to specifically pick IIT Bombay. IIT Bombay at that point of time was one of the few institutes who had a very active startup ecosystem.
Were you like reading stuff online about the startup world in the US back then? What was the other exposure digitally about the startup world at that time?
Internet wasn't very good then. So as much as you and I want to believe, but 2007 internet was dial-up connections, but it wasn't very popular back even then. So you couldn't go to Google and just simply search about 10 of these top entrepreneurs and so on. There was no Twitter, there was no Facebook. Facebook had just started. I remember. But you engage with entrepreneurs, and you knew that this is what you want to do, right? You engage with people, and you knew that this is what of course I wanted to be an entrepreneur as well. So this is what I want to be, and therefore this is the best way to prepare myself.
So at that time, early on, did you have any areas of interest to start up in? You were just enamored by wanting to start up?
No specific interest area. I knew that if I were to start up, I would do things in technology something. So it would be around technology, and where is the best place in India which is technology and entrepreneurship? That's IIT Bombay. So you show up at IIT Bombay and you went to the course there. Almost everything in an MBA back then wasn't directly relevant to what I do today, right? ऐसा लगता है लोगों को that MBA में finance, VC में finance होता है. मैं आपको बता सकता हूँ कि मेरा Excel sheet का skill इतना weak है कि मेरे 25 साल के एनालिस्ट का बेटर होता है. So I don't, ऐसे जरूरत नहीं है. And finance was my worst grades also.
So what did you do at IIT Bombay? Where did you intern when you were there? I'm sure at that time there weren't technology companies, giving internships, right? So you must have ended up in some consumer goods company or a finance company, but finance you didn't like.
I didn't like finance.
So किया क्या आपने IIT Bombay में?
So campus placement, summer internship was L'Oreal. That was very good. Yeah, I was doing market research, proper market research, 2 months for a brand called Garnier. I was responsible for
John Ibrahim.
John Abraham.
He was the
John
brand
Abraham
ambassador.
was probably in Cradle then. So no, not really, but yeah. So
So sorry, L'Oreal Garnier market research.
L'Oreal Garnier market research. I was involved in trade marketing research. This was so I went to Bombay all across, all the way from Bhayandar to study consumers to Bindi Bazaar and what was it, please? Masjid. For meeting wholesalers. So I covered all of that. So bunch of research, good grounding in the full stack of FMCG. I still think that was a very good exposure I got. Never worked with FMCG after that, but that was very interesting. Learned a lot.
What did you do after IIT graduating? Did you start up immediately or did you work somewhere first?
I was very interested in this idea of commercialization of technology. If you don't know what that means, it's basically taking commercial research to market. So IIT Bombay was India's premier institution on producing very high quality engineering kind of research. So I said, if this good quality research is happening, why is it not making the way to products which I can use? So the simple thing and the answer was that maybe commercialization is not happening, industry is not speaking enough. So we put together a group of students called Technology Transfer Group in IIT Bombay, again, completely from scratch. And we organized an event called Tech Connect in 2009, just before I graduated. We did a science exhibition kind of event. Some 42 technologies from IIT Bombay got displayed, and we had some 200-300 people from industry walking in.
So what were some of the coolest things back in 2009 that were displayed there? If anything you can remember and tell us.
I remember. So there's thoda technical hai, so please bear with me. You know that gold nanoparticles are ferromagnetic by nature. How many of you understand that shit? Okay, you can put some drug molecules inside a gold nanoparticle, which is very large in size, and small drugs inside. Let us say it's a chemotherapy drug inside that gold nanoparticle, and you can take a bunch of gold nanoparticles because it is magnetic. So you can take it, you can suppose you ingest it from your hand and some part of your body. Let's say your shoulder you move it with a magnet into that corner, and the best part, you can use eddy currents to increase temperature, and increasing temperature burns that stuff. And I found it fascinating. Look at my excitement right now. So I found it fascinating. I said, "Boss, itna acha kaam ho raha hai. Why are people not taking this to the market?" Even today, gold nanoparticle based stuff is not in the market yet, right? I don't know what happened. I'm sure there were so many challenges, but at least to my untrained eye, it looked very exciting. And that set the stage for 1.5 years later, I started a company called Academic Ventures, which was to commercialize technology from a place like IIT Bombay. And it didn't do well for particular reasons, but yeah, it was all connected. If you look back, it was all connected. If you look forward, it was very hard to see where the life will head. Campus placement happened, and place company was really fighting hard because very few jobs then. And I got a reasonable job, very, very quick enough. And I did not join that company. The place was not happy. I went to, and again, my network was strong enough, so I went to my mentor, and he was working with a company, part of Tata Group, called Tata CRL. And I said, what should I do? He says, do enterprise sales. That's the most important thing, most of my life skill to have. I got an offer from that company, and I joined. It was 33% lower salary. And I joined that Pune, and I had a good career at sales. First year, I sold about 2.5 crore rupees of services, which was pretty happy. And then I started up this.
What services were you selling?
Very highly technical again. So, so those of you who understand supercomputing, high performance computing. So high performance computing, today of course, even a smartphone is high performance computer, but back then high performance computers were to be built in a very large cluster, and this was used to do a lot of scientific computing. So you could simulate, for example, the next rocket that ISRO was going to launch. using that large supercomputer. ISRO was a large customer for us. I'm selling supercomputing services to animation companies and also to CFD companies and also to wind energy companies, because all of that designing required some of this stuff. Biology also requires supercomputing. That is what I was doing.
Apart from the 2.5 crore ka sales, did you enjoy the actual process of selling?
I absolutely enjoy. It's I think every one of the people in this audience should do a sales job mandatory for 2 years. It should be like a military job, like a military career for everyone, because while doing a sales job, you get to learn 2 things. One, of course, everyone has told you, you get to hear no for an answer, right? And that's, of course, very important. But also, as a consequence, you start listening to a customer, because currently we're so much in our head that we don't see what the other person may be thinking about. So you start listening to the customer, because if you don't listen to the customer, things will not get done.
You know, this is like the 150th speaker on our platform who's talking about the importance of sales.
Sales job.
And funnily, you know, it's amongst the least in demand jobs from the employee's perspective, because everybody is desperately trying early in their life to avoid sales. And eventually 10 years later, everybody comes on platforms like this and says, sales karo yaar, sales kar do.
Everyone is doing sales. Name one company CEO who does not do sales, or 2 levels below who does not do sales, right? Every job is sales. So you have to do it sooner or later anyway. Why don't you start early, right? The only thing is, in some companies like FMCG, you start with sales and you become larger salesperson. In this company, you start back end and the front end is all sales. Everything is sales in life.
So, Arpit, coming back to your story, one clear theme I can see is that you were interested in high tech, deep tech from the start, and you continued to keep that. In fact, I think even the portfolio companies that you look at are all, you know, in the same space. So obviously, looking back, everything is connected. So then when did the entrepreneurial, obviously you always wanted to be one, but when did you actually take that plunge and start, the company that you just spoke about? What were the challenges, issues, why it did not work out the way you wanted it to?
This is November 2010. I had enough of my sales job, and I said I have to do a startup, because marriage pressure was on the horizon. And I thought to myself that if I don't do it now, the parents won't allow me again. So that was on my mind, although they're not really the main reason. I wanted to be an entrepreneur and found an opportunity. Academic Ventures, technology commercialization company, we were trying to engage with a lot of universities and seeing if this technology can be taken by the industry. At this point of time in India, there was almost no commercialization of technology happening. And my hypothesis was that if I put hard work enough, I will be able to commercialize some. However, this particular piece of my business never took off. What took off was, at this point of time, some incubators had started happening in India. So private incubators had started happening, and the only customer who kept on paying me was this company called Aegis Center for Entrepreneurship, who wanted to put up a private incubator in Delhi, which is why I moved to Delhi. So that's what happened. Incubator management took off, but nothing else really worked out, and I was barely making my ends meet, and ended up, just after I got married, I ended up taking a job.
So where did you work now after this setback?
This is again very interesting, and again, I think by now I was very confident that my choices may have been odd, but they kind of make sense later. So at this point, and some of you must have seen Steve Jobs' commencement address at Stanford. There was a very important thing which I remembered. I just stumbled upon at this point of time, where he said, "How do you know what you are best at?"
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, you don't really love it, you're going to give up.
And I said, okay, what is that one thing that I can do, or many things that I do, where I'd have to follow my heart? I said, what came instantly to me was, I want to work with startups. I want to work as enabling startups. This is 2012. Not too many options available in the market, but thankfully I got into 2 or 3 options I had before I joined this startup incubator called T Labs accelerator program by Times Internet. And within 3 months, Ankit, I was telling myself, within few weeks actually, that this is the best decision of my life. Like, I was doing stuff that I would do without getting paid. And it was outstanding.
So tell us,
engaging.
give us an example of what was so, like, run us through a day or some examples of what you did which made you feel कि यार ये मैं क्या सही काम कर रहा हूँ.
So, Head Start, which we started in 2007, was a community of entrepreneurs. So, imagine all of you entrepreneurs, we do events called Startup Saturdays, similar audience, 50-70 people. The most important thing about this is that everyone is an entrepreneur. There will of course be some speakers, some sessions like you're doing today, but everyone is an entrepreneur, and you hear entrepreneur stories, you think of the innovation that they're doing, you think how they are, every entrepreneur is really making a dent, right, in what is possible in the world. And that is the most exciting thing. There is nothing new will get created unless it is an entrepreneurial effort. I was in a place of enabling hundreds and thousands of entrepreneurs at Head Start. And in T-Labs, the challenge at Head Start is that you meet one person 1 month, next month that person may not show up. So the community and engagement and impact is shallow. At T-Labs, the impact is longer because you have 3 months, they're all resident there, they're all sitting there, you have a chance of engaging on an everyday basis, you apply your full faculties into helping them grow, and so on. So it was very amazing. Super awesome.
And I guess, is this the time when you decided or you thought कि यार अब मुझे लगता है मुझे VC बनना चाहिए या VC world में entry मारना चाहिए? Wow. Because at this time in parallel, I think also slowly people started giving, Flipkart started coming on the front pages. For you to decide that I want to get into, say, VC.
That decision was taken in 2008.
Achha, that you had already thought of?
So look at this pattern. I was a Barcamp guy, then Head Start guy, then MBA. Right? And I loved interacting with startups. What's the most logical thing you do? You obviously go and join a VC firm. Right? And back then also there were VC firms, and one VC firm did give me an offer almost that converted into an internship. So back in 2008, I did an internship at Seed Fund. At T-Labs, you can only claim to have an impact for a small period of time. Therefore, the impact will also be lower in size. But today, you can build unicorns, right? And you can be part of the journey from scratch. That's very cool.
Again, when you were at T-Labs, did you, I don't know if even the term unicorn existed there,
no,
to be honest. but what was your imagination कि ये company, I mean whether it is InShorts or any other companies which were there, कि ये कितनी बड़ी हो सकती है company? Because I think in popular lexicon, in 2012-13 अगर आप किसी को बोल दो कि ये कंपनी की वैल्यू 2 साल में या 5 साल में 300 करोड़ हो जाएगी तो people would be like, अरे वाओ एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी.
I know what you're saying.
आजकल तो 6 महीने के अंदर लोगों का वैल्यूएशन 300 करोड़ से 1000 करोड़ हो जाता है.
That's true.
So what was in your mind, how did you think about कि ये कंपनी कितनी बड़ी हो सकती है, या what would have been the definition of a big success?
देखो स्टार्टअप में अंकित, you know this very well, स्टार्टअप में जो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ है वो है जज्बा, परसिस्टेंस, ग्रिट, व्हाटएवर, राइट? बिना जज्बे की कोई स्टार्टअप नहीं होती है. आप ये बोल सकते हो कि इस आदमी ने कभी फाइट ही नहीं मारी, इसको कभी फाइट हुई नहीं बिकॉज उसको पहले दिन फंडिंग मिल गया, वो दौड़ता गया, रास्ते में कोई और लोगों ने पैसे पकड़ा दिए, फिर दौड़ता गया, और लोगों ने पैसे पकड़ा दिए, ऐसा नहीं होता है. ये बाहर से देखने में लगता है. हम लोगों को आजकल मीडिया ने खासतौर पर इतना पॉपुलर कर दिया है कि यार इसकी 200 मिलियन, इसकी 400 मिलियन, इसकी 1000 मिलियन ऐसे फंडिंग हो गई. ऐसा होता तो ऑब्वियसली है ही, बिकॉज ट्रांजेक्शंस आर हैपनिंग, बट ये स्ट्रगल रियल है और रोज होता है. आपको लग सकता है कि स्टार्टअप में स्ट्रगल, किसी स्टार्टअप में स्ट्रगल नहीं होता, पर ऐसा कभी नहीं होता. एवरी स्टार्टअप हैज टू गो थ्रू स्ट्रगल एंड एवरी एंटरप्रेन्योर हैज टू बी रेडी कि स्ट्रगल करना ही पड़ेगा. 2007 में I remember this entrepreneur, and I'm hoping that he will listen to this some point. This guy is called Sujay Karampuri. I think he was working with Intel or something before that, and he stopped doing that and he started building a chip around WiMAX. आप लोगों ने WiMAX भी सुना नहीं होगा, कोई बात नहीं. Wi-Fi का एक next version था WiMAX, which never took off as technology. Definitely much faster than Wi-Fi at that point of time. But it never took off, and this person, Sujay, had worked on this for at least 3-4 years विदाउट एनी फंडिंग, विदाउट एनी टीम कितना ही होगा, 2-4 लोगों का टीम होगा, एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स भी नहीं होते थे उस ज़माने में, और ये स्ट्रगल कर करके उसने स्टार्टअप कहीं पहुंचाया. आई थिंक इवेंचुअली गॉट सोल्ड टू सम कंपनी. I know what he's doing right now, but he must be doing well. The point I'm making is the grounding I have is of entrepreneurship and not startups. I'm using the words loosely, but entrepreneurship and not startups. Entrepreneurship is always about struggle and tough times and having to have grit and persistence. क्योंकि आपको बताओ अंकित, तुम तो अभी फंडिंग हो गया तो तुम्हें एक्सपीरियंस हो गया होगा इस चीज़ का. जिस दिन फंडिंग का अनाउंसमेंट आता है, राइट, जिस दिन फंडिंग का अनाउंसमेंट आता है, बाकी लोगों को तो उस दिन पता लगता है कि फंडिंग अनाउंसमेंट आ गया, राइट, एंड एवरीवन इज कांग्रेचुलेटिंग यू. क्या, अरे अंकित तोड़ दिया तुमने, ये किया वो किया, राइट. अंकित सोच रहा है साला बोल तो रहे हैं लोग, लेकिन मुझे पता है मेरी कितनी फटी हुई. एवरी सिंगल एंटरप्रेन्योर हैज दिस फीलिंग. आप अगर एंटरप्रेन्योर्स का पैटर्न करोगे ना, मैच करोगे, तो आपको पैटर्न दिखेगा दैट इट इज अ स्ट्रेट लाइन ऑफ नर्वसनेस. इट इज अ स्ट्रेट लाइन नर्वसनेस विद सम इम्पल्स ऑफ एक्साइटमेंट व्हेनेवर लेट्स से कोई बड़ा कस्टमर आ गया, या कोई फंडिंग हो गया, या कोई बड़ा एम्प्लॉय हमने क्लोज कर दिया, वगैरह वगैरह. इट्स ऑल नर्वसनेस, क्योंकि हर लेवल पे गेम बड़ा हो जाता है. आप 7 बिलियन कंपनी बना लो तो भी गेम बड़ा हो जाता है. आपको तब उतनी फटती है, आप 7 बिलियन कंपनी में तो भी फटती है. ये फटना बंद नहीं होता है.
नहीं, और the other thing, the other word you use ना, struggle. So at some level I feel like वो struggle से इश्क हो जाता है थोड़ा सा. You country.
ये भी ये अलग ही माइंडसेट है, राइट. मेरी ग्राउंडिंग है एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में, बट फंडिंग ओनली हैपेंस टू कंपनीज व्हिच हैव अ लार्ज मार्केट साइज. क्यों होता है पता है? बहुत बड़ा बिजनेस बनाने का स्कोप नहीं. बहुत बड़ा मतलब क्या? रेजर पे बड़ा है, पेटीएम बड़ा है, नायका बड़ा है, क्योंकि बिलियंस एंड बिलियंस की लोग स्पेंडिंग करते हैं उनके प्लेटफॉर्म पर ही, और मार्केट बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा है, तो इसलिए वो साइज बिकम्स अ लिमिटेशन. तो अंकित, साइज इज अ फिल्टर फॉर मी, राइट. टुडे ऑफ कोर्स आई अप्लाई दिस फ्रॉम डे वन, बट एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप होना बहुत ज़रूरी है, और एंटरप्रेन्योर को ग्रिट होके तोड़ने का मज़ा जो उसको होता है ना, मिशनरी ज़ील, वो बहुत ज़रूरी है. उसके बिना कोई एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप होती नहीं है, और फंडिंग आप कर भी दो तो रहेगी नहीं, सक्सेसफुल नहीं हो.
My question was के at that time what was the aspiration that entrepreneurs had in places like T Labs के ये कंपनी हम कितनी बड़ी बनाएंगे?
So यूनिकॉर्न का जर्नी किसी ने देखा नहीं था.
हाँ, मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ.
हाँ, यूनिकॉर्न जर्नी किसी ने देखा नहीं था. हम लोग ये सोचते थे कि हम लोग, सो वी एंटर्ड अ रियली चीप वैल्यूएशन. वी एंटर्ड एट टिपिकली 1 करोड़ वैल्यूएशन. 10 लाख 10% की लेते थे, तो 1 करोड़ वॉज डर्ट चीप वैल्यूएशन. एंड इन द बेस्ट ऑफ आवर इमेजिनेशन कि चलो इस 10 लाख रुपए का अगर 10-20 करोड़ बन गया तो बहुत अच्छा है. वील एग्जिट एट दैट पॉइंट, जस्ट 20x फ्रॉम देयर, नॉट अ लॉट, सॉरी 200x हो गया 20 करोड़, राइट. एंड दे एग्जिटेड इन शॉर्ट्स, so 45 lakhs, 45 crores, right, when that company really took off in a big way. Point ये है कि लोगों के expectation जो थी वो काफ़ी लो थी, क्योंकि market wasn't supporting very large companies, and it was not common to imagine companies becoming unicorns back in the day. In fact, first unicorn Flipkart happened in 2018, I think, or in 2016, I think. And of course, we heard about unicorns, and companies like Google and Facebook were unicorns, and Uber was unicorn, and so on. And slowly, then the ambitions increased in size, and slowly everything became inflated, and everything became larger and also faster. Today, it is not uncommon to have companies become unicorn in 3 years, right? It was completely unheard of back then. I think fintech is the most powerful, if not the most powerful tool that tech is given to India. It is going to change the world in ways that we can't even imagine.